Welcome in, Jeff Cameron Show from Ireland. I would say good afternoon and welcome everybody. That might be a little weird in the hotel for folks just outside, but I'm in Waterford, Ireland. It is Ireland's oldest city. I'll tell you more in a second, and we'll actually talk some Noles here in a second as well. Before we get started with all of that, let's celebrate our new partner or our expanded partner. They've always been partners. But here's an opportunity for you guys to say Warchant Days at Garnet and Gold. If you're watching at home right now, you can see it. It's a Wednesday, which means you get 25% off purchases from College Vault. That's the College Vault over there on Pensacola. Classic FSU gear, which you can see on the screen here. In fact, guys, I don't know if you can see it on camera here. I've got the old school Florida State logo on. There you go, or the Florida State shirt, just state right there. It's a beautiful thing. Tara and her great staff, I believe it was Crystal, helped us out, and they were fantastic, and there's so much to choose from. And if you're a Warchant subscriber, you're saving tons of money, not just on these days that are Garnet and Gold Warchant days, but if you're a subscriber, you're going to save any time that you order something from Garnet and Gold. So we want to doff the cap to them as we get started here today. As I said, I'm in Waterford. I'll get to FSU momentarily. It is Ireland's oldest city, said to have been formed by the Vikings in the 9th century. We had a wonderful tour here of a Viking castle that still stands, and a museum that gives you the history of this place and the back and forth as the wars went on, and who owned it, who was able to control it. It's a fascinating listen and read. And, it's one of the things that you always notice if you go to Europe, go to any country that is certainly a lot older than the United States. You see artifacts, for example. One of the first things we saw today was from the 1100s. So right off the bat, I was like, look at that. It's a piece of equipment from the 1100s. So stuff of that nature, but so well preserved, the things they have. This is a wine port. And so the early days, they have been able to uncover some of the oldest wine vases, if you will. And right outside my window, I wish you could see it. If it wasn't such a blinding sun coming through, I would turn the computer that way so you could. But I'm right on the river that runs through here, and it's a port city. So to think about how many people have docked right here for the last hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, 500, 600, 700 years. It's rather remarkable. We did that. We went to a wake museum. There's a home here that people have been coming to die for the last 500 years. Stepping foot in there was intriguing. It had a feel. It had a feel. Some of the priests that helped aid the poor here in Waterford died there, and they welcomed others to die there peacefully, where they would be taken care of. It was fascinating. We did that. We did the Timepiece Museum. It's one of the two only museums dedicated solely to man's pursuit of keeping time, dating back to the Egyptians and the Babylonians. You get to see the world's first timepieces and those that sought to make them, and learn about the sophistication of the tools they used. There was one of the first watches we saw there was in the early 1600s. So there's no shortage of stuff. It's no secret we're here as guests, if you will, for the fine folks. Seminoles to Ireland, you can go check it out. But these are all things you can do if you're going to make the trip to Ireland for 2024 when Florida State takes on Georgia Tech. And the folks are really, really friendly. They don't ask that we push and push and push or anything like that. They just say experience it and relay your experiences to the people back home. We know there's a lot offered here. We're going to golf later this week on a links course, which I'm so excited about. Tomorrow we're going to have an opportunity to do a bunch more. So I will update you as we go along. Tom, I'll welcome you in now as we talk a little Noles here. And let's just get to the fact that it's been announced. I mean, next week when I get back from Ireland, we'll be in Charlotte, and it'll be ACC Kickoff, ACC Media Days. Probably feels like back home. that football is starting, because SEC Media Week is this week, I think. I saw Jimbo Fisher once again refusing to say as to who's going to be calling plays. I had a chuckle here in Waterford as I saw that come up on my phone. People are still pushing the issue with him, and he'll give the standard, I wouldn't have hired him if I didn't think he was a great coach, and the stuff with which we do, whatever that means, as he likes to say. And that made me laugh. But it got me thinking back to all the other media days that we've been a part of and all the other years where we've gone up. It's starting, Big 12, SEC, and us next week. Here we go. And you and I will be there. And when we're there, we'll have an opportunity to talk to Jordan Travis. No surprise there. He is a Heisman candidate. It'd be silly not to send him. He's been, 3-4 times? He's probably tired of going to Charlotte. And then in addition to that, Jared Verse will go. Makes sense. He's a superstar player who will, if he has a great season, be drafted within, top 10 pick. So he's also a second. Makes a lot of sense for him to go. Kalen DeLoach. Okay. I thought that was an interesting choice. Kalen DeLoach, you can give a lot of credit to, because that's a young man that has kind of been here through the transformation, right? Think about him and the hard work he's put in. And I will say this, you guys get used to me criticizing a segment group like the linebackers, and I consider them sort of a weak spot of the team. That isn't to say they're devoid of talent and can't produce. I just don't think it's the strength of the team, either in numbers or overall talent. But I will also say, and I have said, that early in the season a year ago, both Tatum Bethune and Kalen DeLoach were playing great football. And Kalen DeLoach in particular looked like a guy that had added speed, if that's possible, and was a player who I thought was going to have a torrid year, just dominate. But I think he got dinged halfway through the season. I wonder if we don't see exemplary play from him and Tatum this year. And in particular, Kalen, with the defensive line being what we think it's going to be, and the opportunities he'll have to run sideline to sideline and make plays with that speed. If he's fully healthy and he's clean, meaning the defensive line is helping keep offensive players, linemen, and the such off of him, he could have a huge year. So I'm happy for Kalen DeLoach, and he's a smart guy. So it should be an interesting conversation.
To me, I think it's an endorsement of the work that Kalen's put in and what they've seen from him in the offseason. They think he's going to have a big season in short. It makes more sense now, because by the time that you hear this video, see this video, and you listen on 93.3, Florida State will have had a media availability. That's at 9:30 in the morning on Wednesday, and that's with Tatum Bethune and Renardo Green. Kind of came out of left field that we were going to get those two players on a random Wednesday before the ACC kickoff, but now I understand it a little bit more. If you're going to send one of the two linebackers to Charlotte, you got to make the other one available. I'm just reading the tea leaves there. I think that's what went on. But I would not have, if you gave me 2 or 3 chances to guess who the third player was going to be for Florida State, I would not have said Kalen DeLoach. And that's not a knock on the player. I just think that a Trey Benson is going to have a huge season. And while they've got a lot of targets on offense in the aerial attack, Trey Benson is going to be the lead dog, in the backfield. He's going to be the guy that goes over 1,000 yards. So you could have picked him. Fabian Lovett made a significant choice for the future of this season when he said he's going to come back for another year. I think that's another player that you could have picked. And honestly, because of Tatum Bethune's senior status, I get it that Kalen DeLoach is also a redshirt senior this season. I would have thought maybe Bethune would have gone and not DeLoach. So I find that fascinating. So it's a different wrinkle. I suspected maybe 2 defensive players would go in addition with Jordan, but I just didn't think it would be Kalen DeLoach. That'll make for a fun week, though, because that's the first curveball of the season, is that he's going to be the third guy at Charlotte. Again, for clarity's sake, we'll have our whole staff up there. Multimedia wing of the enterprise will be there. That'll be a week from today, Wednesday, July 26th, is Florida State's day in Charlotte.
Yeah, and the only thing I'll say about that, Tom, with Kalen DeLoach is, you think about Tatum Bethune had those years where he was at UCF before transferring in. And Kalen DeLoach is sort of a program guy, so I think that's – and it's not a knock on Bethune. It's just that he came to the party late. So I think that might be kind of why maybe they chose Kalen DeLoach in that situation. You could have gone with a lot of guys, as you said. Could have gone with Johnny Wilson. Could have gone with any number of other players. It was a tough choice. Maybe they also just asked the guys, do you want to go or not? Is it something you want to do? Not everybody wants to do that. Not everybody wants to field those questions and travel and do those things. Some guys have no interest in it. Others really can't wait to get out in front of it and have a conversation with the press and kind of get themselves out there in a way to a higher profile. So you never know. You never really know.
Kalen's game has developed in an interesting way over the last couple of years. I recall 2 seasons ago, it looked like he was understanding what offenses were doing and trying to do to him by the end of the season. I point back to the one play, but it's just nice and emblematic. On the road at Florida, he cuts underneath. He makes a nice play for an interception. He did the same thing against Boston College on the road. Good November for Kalen. Last year, you're right, he was shot out of a cannon early in the season. Sometimes he took poor angles, but that's going to happen when you go against a Jaden Daniels and a Malik Cunningham. Either way, he kept up with them in a lot of instances, stride for stride. But then both of the linebackers just kind of disappeared. And I think it's fair to say for a linebacker, an argument that you would make for a quarterback like Jordan Travis or a running back. When the line in front of you is good, you look better. If you're Jordan Travis, when receivers can win one-on-ones, you look better. And I think that's for a linebacker. When you got an anchor in front of you, like a Fabian Lovett or a Darrell Jackson or a Braden Fisk or a Farmer, and then you've got a guy like Jared Verse who's going to command double teams and extra attention. As a linebacker, you're going to be free to make more plays. And I think that's going to come for those two this season.
I do too. And with that, we'll wrap up this segment. We'll have another one as we begin the next hour. So stay with us. I'll get back with you guys in a moment with some fresh content from Ireland. And we'll talk more Florida State and some other things that I've done over here in Waterford and Dunmore East and where we're headed tomorrow and all that good stuff. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio and Warchant TV. Hour number 2, Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. Yep, back for more. A little brief snippet here as we start the hour. I know you guys are listening to the best of. Appreciate you doing that. Thanks to all the folks listening in town on 93.3 Real Talk Radio. Obviously, if you're watching on Warchant TV, hello, off with the cap here. By the way, this is my Teeling shirt hat. There you go. This is the whiskey distillery we went to yesterday. I thought it fit me rather well, guys. So there's that. And want to thank everybody for what they've been able to do for us over here. It's been insane how much fun we are having. Today, as I said last hour, we are in Waterford, oldest city in Ireland, and it's ancient and charming. Before I get going, let me say this, though. Unlike yesterday, I'm not going to forget my fine folks at Zaxby's. That's right, good old Zaxby's. Delicious. And where you are, there are 57 Zaxby's. Wherever you are, you could be listening to us in Austin, Texas. Right down the road, there's a Zaxby's. You could be in Atlanta. There's a Zaxby's. Right over there in Tallahassee, there's a Zaxby's across from a Zaxby's. You're good to go. Big old chicken sandwich. They're delicious. Split top bun. Big cut pickles, thick cut. They're delicious. Oh, you can't beat it. Can't beat it. Go get you some Zaxby's. Get you a platter. Get you one of those platters so that you and the family and friends can all eat. Get the Zax sauce. Spicy. They've been supporting Florida State in the way of being a Golden Chief booster for over 18 years. Make sure you support your neighborhood Zaxby's there in Tallahassee. Good people doing good things and helping Florida State out. Most importantly, giving you great food.
This is the thing that we often think about. We don't have to ourselves, but our friends do, whether your wife goes out to the stadium or maybe your dad takes a crew with him out stadium side. I know my wife likes to tailgate at least once or twice a season. Who's going to take care of the food? Are we bringing the grill? What are we going to do? We making sandwiches? How are we going to enjoy the day? We're going to stop by Hotel Indigo. Well, Zaxby's, that's where you go. You just make it simple. They're everywhere in town. You stop at one of them. Order ahead, get a couple of platters of Zach's fingers to go. You get a bunch of sauces, some Texas toast, some fries, and you're all set. Trust me, the last couple of years, we've been set up on game days. I'm used to it now. It's part of the tradition of our Saturdays. Make it your tradition. Zaxby's, man, they're the ones that take care of us, and they'll take care of you as well in Tallahassee. And also, that money goes right back into the football program, which is pretty cool.
Somehow, by the way, forgive me as I grab my phone here. So we were at Waterford Crystal just now, Tom, I got to tell you. And if you guys check the social media posts, you'll see Ira and myself and Aslan as we all got an opportunity to engrave and kind of sculpt there on the wheel that you see. You know what I never realized as we did that? I knew the craftsmanship and the expertise and all the years spent training that these guys go through. I'd learned a lot about that when I was over here last time. This time around, they actually gave us a hands-on experience. that thing that you see them sculpting, it's you look at the glass, like you take a glass like this, for example, and you see them on the wheel, and it's a diamond cutter wheel, and you'll watch them do that. So as soon as it touches the crystal, it makes a mark, and you can make an indentation depending on how hard you press. And Tom, when you do that thing, you can stick your hand right on that wheel. Doesn't hurt you at all.
What?
Doesn't even hurt you in the slides. You can touch it. I was hesitant, and the guy was like, put your hand on it. It's okay. They've got water running over it at all times, and it's not sharp to the human hand.
I don't understand how that works.
I don't either, and I questioned it, but he said, trust me, put your hand on the wheel. I thought, is this a joke? They think it's funny. They're going to hurt the American. No, we did it. It was great. No problem. We had a blast. And I even kind of learned how to etch a little bit and do. So they make the trophy for the game that the Aer Lingus group is putting on here in 2024. Of course, Notre Dame and Navy this year. And we saw the helmet that the coach puts on afterwards. It's a crystal helmet, Waterford crystal helmet that they put on. And we watched them as they were etching Georgia Tech's emblem into one side of the helmet and Notre Dame's on the other. Today was the day they were actually doing that while we were here.
Wow.
So the timing of that could not have been any better. The folks there also could not have been more welcoming. Just remarkable. We saw from the second that they go in and get the materials to the shaping with the soldering and the blowing that they use the tube to elongate the shapes in different ways and how they work together. It's almost like a dance. You have different pieces of equipment all in close quarters, and you've got scalding temperatures, and you realize that if any guy turns the wrong way at the wrong time, somebody's going to get badly burned, as in like lose a limb burned. Mm-hmm. And they have to train 8 years before they're ever allowed on the floor. 8 years. 8. Sweet Jesus, you could have like 2 PhDs in 8 years. So 8 years you got to go through this. And then where it manifests itself is as you watch this process, it's like a dance, like a ballet. One guy's turning here, this guy's over here, then he's engraving, then this guy's got the heat thing down there, and they're pulling it, and it was unreal. And nobody hits the other. They had a guy who's been doing it for 44 years. One of their master sculptors has been here for 52 years. 52. So in 1971, I was born in Heerlen, Holland, and this son of a bitch was sculpting stuff at the Waterford Crystal. This is crazy.
How far was the trip from Dublin?
2 hours. 2 hours and 10 minutes. 2 hours and 10 minutes of the most beautiful countryside you'll ever see. We passed. You kind of go by where you go to Cork and Kilkenny, and then you make your way in here. And I was glad that Ira and Aslan got to see really one of my favorite parts of Ireland, which is everywhere once you get out of Dublin. Nothing wrong with Dublin at all. But when you get out of Dublin's a big city. Dublin's a big city, and it's like any other big city. There's a lot of interesting architecture and art and amazing things to take in, but you don't get the countryside. You don't get the lush green hills and the cottages that Ireland's kind of known for with the thatched huts and all that. And the farms, the huge farms that have been in families for 1,000 years. It's crazy. So we did that. And that drive, it was as if we brought the sun with us. We left Dublin. It was raining a little bit this morning. As soon as we got outside of Dublin, about 45 minutes outside of Dublin, it cleared, and we had sunshine and rolling hills. It was something to behold. We shot some of it. We got live video. I'm sure Aslan's posted some. You'll see it under the Warchant umbrella. You'll see it on Warchant TV. You'll see it on the Twitter feeds. I posted some stuff from a cliff by where we were with Dunmore East. It's something to behold. Ireland is. The people are charming and welcoming. It's a land rich with history, really good beer, obviously, and whiskey, and good food, and kind-hearted folks who are quick to point out one of their treasures that are unique to Ireland. I really like that. They all seem to be historians. No matter where we went, you go a place to eat, somebody says, oh, you're from Florida. Oh, you're here with this group. Well, let me show you this. Let me show you this. Let me give you a tour of this. Hey, did you know 20 minutes that way is the oldest such and such? It's so cool how welcoming the people of Ireland are.
How was the steak last night?
Delicious. Yeah. The building that was converted to a restaurant, it's called Fire, is the name of the restaurant. It's Dublin's #1 steakhouse, is an old Parliament building that they had here in Ireland that's over 200 years old. It was the first such government building. And the person who owns it had it renovated. It's been passed on through to him and his family. And he spent $1.4 million to renovate it. And he still lives on the property. And sadly, I cannot remember his name, but he was a huge benefactor. He didn't do anything to earn it. So I don't have to remember his name, but anyhow, so the the building itself is remarkable. He lives on the grounds. And one of the things about Ireland that I like is the streets. The doors are also colorful. You guys have seen the pictures, right? All the doors on the individual residential dwellings, they're bright red and bright yellow and bright blue and bright green. And, there's nothing boring about the streets of Dublin when you're kind of traversing about the neighborhoods. And that part of it's cool. And then it's really one thing that's happened since the last time I was here. They've modernized quite a bit in areas that you would want them to, just in terms of how to get around the city. And the public transportation is really good here. Really good here. They have Tom, it's like a bullet train. It's crazy. Yep. One of the things they have here. So it makes me sad we don't have more of those in the United States. I'm like, what the hell? Ancient ass Dublin has a bullet train and we can't get something going over here. So let's get it together.
I'm telling you, I missed a subway in London a few years back. I was like, oh my God, how long are we gonna have to wait? There's another one 30 seconds later, and another one 30 seconds later.
Yeah, they're fine. They come around quick. Yeah. I will also say one of the things that I like, and again, this is not a soapbox, but all the cities in Ireland that we've been to are cities that are really friendly to people on bikes. I mean, it's not that you're going to come over here and get on a bike, but if you did, you'd feel right at home. Tons of bikers, tons of them. They're everywhere.
So you gave me a segue opening a moment ago because we got some degenerates watching and listening to this. But, somebody who got something, they didn't earn it. So let's talk about golf, a culture that has a lot of people who get stuff that they don't earn.
Yeah.
That's where Liverpool, not too far from where you are right now, is where the Open's going to take place. Did you see, first of all, as you're pulling up your picks, I know you are. I see that's what you're doing. Yeah. Did you see who they paired Brooks with for the first 2 days?
Yeah.
Cantlay and Matsuyama. Two of the absolute human rain delays, if you take the baseball analogy, in golf.
Well, do you think, I really do think that Brooks had to have been sick to his stomach when they said he had paired with Cantlay. He just got done with that situation.
Yeah. Well, the final round of the Masters, it took him 5.5 hours.
Well, he was furious. He was furious.
So I think that's the RNA saying, screw you for going to live.
Yeah.
And we're going to have some fun with you. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. I would expect Brooks to play well, of course. This is you start with the fact that, the #1 rated golfer on the course, if you're just looking at the measurables that you put in here, it's once again going to be Scotty Scheffler. And it's because tee to green, there's nobody better in the world. It's not close. It's not close. And this is what it allows him to do. It allows him to place. Now, he could win it, but the point would be, if you're betting, you're not typically betting outrights. If you want to bet outrights, you got to sprinkle it around 4 or 5 different guys that have great chances to win this week. Obviously, a guy like Scheffler or Rahm or Rory McIlroy. These are all guys that have great opportunities to win. But if you're betting top 10s and top 20s, where you can make a lot of money and you can rest easy that you got some guys you think will kind of coast in that role. It's like I gave you Xander Schauffele in the last major because that's what he does. He finishes in the top 20 of majors. I do like Scheffler here to finish in the top 10. He's gonna knock it around this course well. It looks fairly easy, by the way. If the weather doesn't cause problems. This is not that difficult a course.
No, so it's supposed to be mildly gusty for the first couple of days. Saturday might be a weather day, but other than that, Cam Smith, who is the defending champion, said that these greens are incredibly flat. So I think that brings a lot of people up to the surface that may not compete otherwise. You think about a Victor Hovland, who's been good, and his short game's been better this year, but putter sometimes eludes him, so he's probably in that conversation. But to your point about Scotty Scheffler, who putting's been the only issue this year, a top 10 bet on Scotty Scheffler is minus 140.
Yeah, it's incredible to think about, right? Like if you're in a pool and you got to draft guys, draft Scotty Scheffler. If you're trying to get great odds, go with Ricky Fowler, who's really putting much better. And we know now tee to green, he's back. He's back giving himself looks. You want to look at numbers that show you how many chances a golfer gives himself. This is why a guy like Patrick Cantlay is always a safe bet, because even though you can't stand watching him and you don't want him to win, he gives himself a ton of opportunities. The whole thing about him is whether or not he makes some putts.
Yeah.
And he might. He's going to win a major eventually. The guy's too good, and he's a good bet as well. Xander Schauffele is another boring name. Rory McIlroy is playing really well all of a sudden again. I think he has found the devil may care attitude, and that's the whole thing with him. If he cares too much, he's a mess, and he plays his way out of the tournament the first day. If he's truly able to say F it and just go play, well, he's back playing really well, Tom. And flat greens, that should work. The whole thing with him is wedges. Do you get it close enough?
That's the site of his last major. They've changed quite a few holes around the course, but it's the site of his last major. So you got good vibes there. He just won last week. He went birdie down the stretch to win the Scottish Open. So, yeah, there's a lot of things pointing towards him. A long shot pick here, Cam Young. Has not been in form, but finished in style last year. The only thing he can't do is putt. He can hit any kind of shot you want. Also, just from an outside perspective, other motivations, he's fallen off the map when it comes to the Ryder Cup. You talk about a performance this week, it could be a major, a Ryder Cup maker for him, and it's flat and slow greens. This is a ball striker's ball striker. So if he can find whatever good vibes he found from last year, when he kind of became a hidden storyline of the Cam versus Rory Sunday at St. Andrews, it's a long shot pick. If you want to put a top 5 money down, you're getting great odds on Cam Young.
You should get good odds on Wyndham Clark, Tom, who I think will play well here this week. I've already said that Tommy Fleetwood will eventually win a major. Tommy Fleetwood will play well here this week. I know you don't think he will, but I think he will. A guy who's back and certainly should be feeling good about his chances is Jordan Spieth. I know that's just ho-hum, roll your eyes. The best players in the world have largely won the majors. That's just the way it's been. You have not had some outsider charging through for the most part. You've had some guys who are on everybody's radar come through and get wins and play really well. And you got to give credit where credit's due. I mean, even guys that, win their first, you're like, oh, well, he's a good player. He's had a good year. So we're starting to see that. I don't know that you would, maybe would you look at a Max Homa who hits the ball really well and gives himself chances? I'd love to see it. I mean, he's a fun player who I think his profile projects well here at the British. So Max may as well have himself a chance on a Sunday. I have not made all 3 of my picks yet. I do know that we didn't say one word about John Rahm, and he's pretty good at golf.
Yeah, that's true. Yes, and the thing about the Open being the final major now, not the third one, is a lot of times you'll have 2 or 3 guys appear out of nowhere. And I don't mean like 50-year-olds. I suppose that could happen. Tom Watson nearly won the damn thing about 10, 12 years ago. But it's such a different style that somebody who hasn't been on form leading up to the week is going to be on the first page of that leaderboard. So it's what makes it fun. And then actually I thought Brentley Romine, I think it was Brentley, put together a list of the last 10 years worth of Opens. In terms of must-see value, the Open's hit rate is about as high as any major. Maybe only Augusta produces more in the last 10 years, legendary weekends that you got something that you could pull from. The Open's like 8 out of its last 10. I know it's not your favorite major, but it delivers a storyline that's really compelling every year.
I need to see who's on the good side of the draw and who isn't this week more than I do most other weeks. There's always a good and bad side of the draw of every tournament every year on the PGA Tour or in the Open Championship. But here it seems to take a little bit more significance. So that bothers me more than it does others. I know I hear people say, well, you just got to buck up. Well, buck up in 87-mile-per-hour winds. That's tough to do. That year, Tiger Woods was better than everybody for 3 of the 4 rounds, except for when he was playing in a hurricane. It mattered, it mattered, but it still irks me a little bit. But yeah, man, it's a fun tournament, and I'll be back in time to catch, I guess, Saturday and Sunday. So it'll be good.
When do you fly back?
We fly back. We get back late Friday.
Oh.
So we get back late Friday night, and that'll be a fun drive from Orlando.
You doing the straight shot, or are you staying overnight there?
You know me, Tom. We're getting on the road. We're getting on the road. We got a home to get to. We've got a bed to sleep in that I like more than a hotel, and I'll be ready to roll, get us back. And hey, we got to turn right around and leave on Monday for Charlotte. So I don't plan on driving back Saturday night and then leaving Monday morning. It's going to be a late Friday night. We'll make it through. I'll power through. I'll drink 17 cups of coffee. I'll get us home safe, and then drop the boys off. And, I'll see him in Charlotte.
It just occurred to me, I guess we're not going to go to the Irish pub in Charlotte. Would that be the last place you'd want to go because the Guinness would be substandard, or you still want to go?
No, I still want to go there.
Okay.
Because if you recall, the last time we were there, they had a Dubliner who was behind the bar. The lad that poured us our Guinness was from Dublin. And,
yeah, that's what I asked you to be a groomsman at my wedding that never happened.
That is correct, and I was honored, and we had a pint over it, and then you just said, "Screw this."
Ovid did. I didn't. Shoot.
I'm kidding. Yeah, so we'll have a lot more in the way of reporting for Florida State. Obviously, there's not as much going on just now, except for that announcement. Hopefully, something happens between now and then. But I know we'll have another report tomorrow. Wanted to check in today, guys. Enjoy the best of segments that we got running for you right now. I'll do more check-ins tomorrow. Keep checking our social media posts on Twitter and Instagram and the like. And obviously subscribe to warchant.com. Tom, good job back home. I know you're feeling a little under the weather. Appreciate you hosting this, if you will, as I'm getting set to go downstairs and go out to a lovely dinner. Should be an excellent seafood dinner since we're right on the Irish Sea. So I'm looking forward to that. Until next time, be well. Don't forget to support our friends that support the Jeff Cameron Show, like Orange Theory Fitness, like obviously Garnet and Gold, who we talked about today, and of course Zaxby's and so many others. Make it happen, friends. Make it happen. Be good. Peace.